This is the April Tackle Club Saltwater Inshore Box. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to start off with the soft plastics and then move our way over to the hard bodies. There is a surface one in there. I know I like to normally start with surface. I'm going to switch it up a little bit, starting with the soft plastics. So we're going to start off with this pre-rigged one here. This is the Storm 360 GT Coastals. These are pre-rigged, ready to go straight out of the packet. Already got the jig head on there, the hook on there, ready to go. So just rip it out, tie it on, start casting, and you're having a laugh. Now with this one, it does have another little toe point underneath where you can attach a little treble hook or even a little set of sting hooks if you wish. But essentially I like to leave that off, especially if I'm fishing some pretty heavy structure, like some reef or you know, rocky undercrop, sunken ship, stuff like that. If you're fishing more open waters where you may be chasing snapper, feel free to chuck on that treble underneath. But that's a nice, quick, easy one straight out of the packet, ready to go. Next up, from Damiki, I have the Damiki Armor Shad here. These are the two-tone 5-inch. This is this little flick bait essentially, so a little fork tail soft plastic straight out of the packet. So 5-inch, you're gonna have to rig this up with a jig head of your choice. Obviously depending on how quick the current's going and how deep the water is that you're fishing, you're just gonna have to work that one out. Now obviously if you're fishing fairly deep water, you might have to go 1/2 ounce, 1 ounce, 1.5, 2 ounce even, pretty heavy. If you're fishing sort of more inshore, around the 15 to 30 meter mark, you can normally get away with like even 1/4 ounce jig heads. Sometimes not that light, depends how you're fishing. If I am fishing that light, I'll try cast up current so it can sink down as the current brings it along. If you want something that's going to sink a little bit slower and have a bit more drag through the water, then you're going to jump over to this one here. These are some big 5-inch paddle tails that are obviously going to have a bit more drag in the water because that tail, it will have a slower sink rate as that pulls through the water. So you can normally get away with a slightly heavier jig head as opposed to the Armor Shads from Damiki, because they are just going to plummet straight down those Damikis, which can also be good as well for trying to get a reactionary bite. But in this case, for something a bit slower, up and down, then you're going to want to go with your paddle tails here. One thing I also like to do with the paddle tails is actually just fish them vertically, drop them straight down, just a slow wind straight up. That way you're also less likely to snag up as opposed to fishing on the cast and retrieve where you could be bringing it through some of that heavy structure. Now, starting to cool down, so a lot of people like to go out and start chasing snapper. We've got 2 awesome jigs here for you for that. First one here is from Damiki Japan. This is the Damiki backdrop jig. So these are pre-rigged with the top and bottom assist hooks. One of my favorites to fish. This is a 20 gram here, so it is a lighter one. So you're gonna wanna use this when you want that slower sink rate or if you're fishing shallower waters. If you're fishing deeper waters, then one of my favorites to use is the Gamoku rocker or the Gamoku slow rocker. So these actually have a very unique design where they will have a very slow back and forth rocking action as they sink, and is normally one of my first go-tos when chasing snapper inshore. Now these do only come pre-rigged with a single assist hook up the top, which is completely fine to fish. If you like, there is a toe point at the bottom where you can add like another treble or another set of stinger hooks as well if you want to increase your hookup ratio, but at the same time that also increases your chance of snagging up if you are bouncing it along the bottom. And then last but not least, from our Australian friends at Halco, this is the Halco Slide Dog 105. So it's a big heavy stick bait essentially. This is a medium sink rate stick bait. So it is 28 grams with heavy hooks ready to go. So it's gonna have a nice weight for a nice long cast. So if you still find anything busting up, say there might be some mackerel or tuna about, if you're lucky enough, have a cast with this out. Otherwise, if you don't find any of those species around where you're fishing, but you have some, you know, coastal shoals or reef that are only a few meters under, this is a fantastic option for that. Just let this swim straight over top of a lot of that structure. You can actually attract a lot of the fish out to come up and hit it. And that's it for the Saltwater Inshore Box this month. If you want to check it out or any of the others in the range, just head to www.tackleclub.com.au. Pick a box that's right for you, and welcome to the club.